Don't you just love it when you go to a drive-through window and you ask for ketchup and they give you one ketchup packet? What am I supposed to do with that? Dip one French fry in there? I did just order 2 large fries. What am I going to do with one ketchup packet? I also don't plan on swimming in ketchup, but you can do a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Those ketchup packets are probably like a penny a pop, so I don't know if they're really trying to cut corners at the right place. I could just stop complaining and eat some dry ass French fries or just eat at home. Like, that's probably a better alternative. But anyways, all jokes aside, in today's video, I actually wanted to do something that I haven't done in quite some time, and that is a speculation video. I guess some of these are kind of low-key leaks. None of these have been confirmed, and I guess that's technically a leak, but some of these do have some pretty solid foundations. Like, some of these rumors do come from semi-reliable sources. However, I'm just going to keep it as a speculation video, because anytime I sneak in the leaks title in there, people just absolutely lose their minds. It's essentially just unconfirmed rumors. Most of these have writings on the wall. Like, it just makes perfect sense to, sneak in some extra figures, sneak in some extra releases to already existing waves. And then in other cases, they're just figures that, we haven't seen before, but just make perfect sense. And there have been some people speculating on those figures for quite some time. So if you guys are interested in this type of random rambling in terms of action figures, make sure to stay tuned. We do upload pretty consistently. I think we're almost uploading on a daily basis, so make sure to stay tuned. Without further ado, without wasting any more saliva and oxygen, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the first potential, I think, release that we could see, and that has a lot to do with the newest MCU entry, and that is Captain Marvel Brave New World. And I've already incessantly talked about the film. I actually do plan on uploading a review. If it probably is already up at on my second channel, but it's just a minor little review, my personal take on the newest Captain America film. And I have to say, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in the community. People just bash the movie. I don't think it's a great, entry into the MCU, but it's a good, solid entry. I think it's better than like Iron Man 3 and Dark World. So I still think it deserves a watch. It's obviously not a film that you're going to watch consistently, but I really like the intensity. I like the build-up. It was building up towards this big, giant, epic battle between Captain America and Red Hulk, and that's exactly what we got. Now, the first wave that we got in terms of Marvel Legends from this particular film was the newest Falcon, the newest Captain, and a Red Hulk, and that was it. I think all three figures were technically considered deluxe figures. They came with quite a bit. Obviously, Captain America and Falcon do have their wings, which are pretty intricate sculpt work, and then the third one being Red Hulk. But I still think that there's a potential there to receive other figures from this film. I honestly feel like this is a really big missed opportunity from Hasbro if they don't make a Thaddeus Ross Harrison Ford action figure. Like, they already have the Black Series. Let's not forget, he is Han Solo, and they do have a number of Black Series action figures with Harrison Ford from the, what I like to refer as the Rey trilogy. So they do have like an older Harrison Ford head sculpt. So like I said, it's just an easy port. They could probably just grab that same exact head sculpt, give it a slightly different paint job, and then just use it as a Ross action figure. I'm sure they could just reuse one of those older base, like, suited body molds. I also think this was a big missed opportunity because they could have easily done a 2-pack with Red Hulk as well as Ross, just include both figures together, but I guess that's another option for later. Maybe do something a little bit crazier, give it a new head sculpt, and then include that Harrison Ford Ross action figure in there. The possibilities are endless here, but I also feel like we will get another Giancarlo action figure, aka Sidewinder. This was a character that didn't really get a lot of screen time, but when he was on screen, I definitely feel like he stole the show. He's earned his spot as one of the most memorable villains of all time, not only as Gus from Breaking Bad, but also Moff Gideon. And again, you already have a head sculpt from when he was Moff Gideon from the Black Series line. You can just take that head sculpt, make some minor adjustments to it, or just keep it the way that it is and then port it onto one of the newer pinless body molds. And then finally, for that particular film, they could give us a leader action figure. We've already technically received a comic book accurate leader, but not anything from the MCU. And just kind of to throw it out there, maybe they could give us an Abomination action figure, just throwing it out there. It connects perfectly into that Edward Norton Hulk film, so it would just make perfect sense. Why not take the opportunity and give us a proper MCU Abomination? He's already been technically brought into the MCU, like actually had an appearance aside from the Edward Norton Hulk film. I know the chances are slim, but I think this could be like a really good Build-A-Figure. You're probably going to see these 3 figures along with like a couple of comic book accurate characters. We know that the Marvel Legends line loves to do this. Sometimes they'll give us like 3 or 4 films from, an MCU film, and then like 1 or 2 characters that have nothing to do with the film. They just sneak them in there to build out or flesh out, a 6 action figure wave, just because sometimes MCU films just don't have enough characters to carry an entire wave. So that's probably my prediction. I still think that we're going to see more action figures from the Captain America Brave New World. And then I also expect a Marvel Legends wave based on the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated show that premiered on Disney Plus earlier in the year. I know it did get, a slight amount of criticism for swapping genders and race and things of that nature, but honestly, if that's gonna hold you back from enjoying a good solid Marvel animated series, I'm not sure what to tell you. I honestly really enjoyed it. It was a great narrative, great plot. I just thought it was a really good, well put together series, and I could easily see them giving us some new Marvel Legends action figures. They did showcase a number of different suits. I'm not sure if this was like directly made, or this little sequence was directly made just to sell more action figures, but I could easily see them giving us those action figures. They had like the Future Foundation colors with the black and white. They had a classic suit, and then they had the homemade Spider-Man suit, which was designed and put together by Peter Parker himself. This was before Norman Osborn got involved and gave him all those, really cool classic iterations. And I have to say, it would make perfect sense. There was also Scorpion featured in the animated show. By the way, I guess I'm kind of getting to spoiler territory, but yeah, we do get Scorpion, as well as Dr. Otto Octavius, or Doc Ock. We also get a younger version of Tombstone. So the possibilities are endless here. I will say this seems like the type of wave that maybe might get pushed back, just because similar to Across the Spider-Verse, it seems like they're, going out of their way to give us unique body molds, stuff that is unique to that particular series. And I feel like this is something that could happen with this particular wave. Like, they give us brand new tech, brand new body molds, because the source material, tends to not be as consistent as what Marvel Legends are usually used to. Like, sometimes if they're basing stuff off of movies, they'll reuse body molds to like action figures that are based in comic book form. They just like to use generic body molds here and there, whether it's Spider-Man or Venom or things of that nature. But when it comes to animated stuff, the look is so stylized that sometimes it's a little bit difficult for Hasbro to be able to put it into action figure form and reuse body molds. But as I said, it's very exciting to see, or it's very exciting to think that we could potentially see a Marvel Legends based on this Spider-Man animated series, which, as I said, I think is a must-watch if you're a big Marvel or Spider-Man fan for sure. The next 2 are incredibly straightforward. If you've been paying attention to anything Disney related, you'll know that there are a couple of upcoming projects that are supposed to be really big, and well, one of them is already ongoing, but the other one being the Thunderbolts live-action MCU film. I'm personally extremely excited about this project. I know a lot of people are bagging on it, especially with the Captain America flopping. I think this film is already in quite a bit of trouble, but it is set to release within the next couple of months, and I think we are going to get a hardcore Marvel Legends wave. I will say they could cheapen out here and just give us like slightly updated, or just re-release every single one of these figures with their old features, old tech, pins, all those ugly features that we saw maybe when they were being released, like Ghost, Walker. You have Yelena, who's been released, I think, like a couple of times, but on the older female body mold. So I think it would be amazing to get these figures updated. A new Red Guardian, a new Ghost. I believe we even had like a Taskmaster for the Black Widow film, the live action Black Widow film. And those are really good figures, but they're desperately in need of some major upgrades. Maybe not so much Taskmaster, but definitely Ghost, Red Guardian, and probably Walker. Bucky Barnes, I know we continuously get updated Bucky Barnes action figures, but that's another character that I would love to see some more updates for. Pinless tech, the newer articulation, things of that nature, new accessories. I feel like this one is going to get an all-out release. With as already mentioned, with the Captain America film, we did get 3 deluxe figures, but they weren't technically a wave. They were just kind of like their own releases, and so it was a little bit, I think, a little bit disappointing to not get a full wave with a Build-A-Figure attached to it. But I feel like the Thunderbolts film is just a prime candidate for a brand new release. You have a new Sentry being introduced, or I should say Sentry being introduced into the MCU. We desperately need an updated Yelena with the newer body mold, newer tag, pinless, everything, and just the list goes on and on. They could easily just give us, slightly updated versions of each individual figure on the Thunderbolts team. And I think, as I said, Marvel as a whole, this is really where their bread and butter is for most releases. It's all about the merchandising. It's all about how much they can sell action figures, not only for adult collectors, but also for, children, how many t-shirts they can sell, backpacks, shoes, things of that nature. That's really where a large portion of their profits come from. Even when a film maybe doesn't do as well in the movie theaters, the merchandising is always a really big point of emphasis. The other project, and as I said, it was ongoing, that is the Daredevil Born Again series. We've already received a Daredevil or a Matt Murdock. A little bit disappointing. There were some issues here and there, but for the most part, it's sold out almost everywhere. But there are some possibilities for some other figures being released. I think White Tiger, although without getting into too many spoilers, we're not really going to see that version of White Tiger moving forward, but he was a pretty integral character for a couple of episodes. And then you have obviously Frank Castle, who makes an appearance in episode 4. Again, not getting into too many spoilers, but he's not necessarily like quote unquote Punisher, or the Punisher that we're used to. He doesn't have like his full outfit and everything, but I think there's a potential to see him later down the line with all of his gear on. And then same thing with Bullseye. We saw him a little bit towards the end of episode 1, but you could get like an updated Bullseye from maybe like the original Daredevil Netflix series. That could be a potential there. But there's still, a chance to flesh out that universe a little bit more. And why wouldn't they, right? The series isn't doing so well, but I still think that there's the possibility of making some of their money back in merchandising. We're not going to get a Karen action figure or a Froggy, unfortunately, because, again, no spoilers, but let's just say he doesn't make it past episode 1. So, that goes out the window, but there's still, like I said, there's a little bit of meat on the bone. And those are some releases that I could easily see from Marvel in the foreseeable future. And then it's also worth mentioning, and you heard it here first, well, maybe not here first, but I do think this is the year of the symbiote. We have, I think, last couple of years, we've received some great action figures from the symbiote universe, whether it's Venom, a deluxe Venom, MCU Venom. We've also gotten the Knoll action figure, which was this big giant deluxe figure that got released in a 2-pack with Venom and, some wings that were, attachable. So they've done a phenomenal job at Carnage as well. I think we've gotten like maybe 3 different Carnages over the past couple of years. However, I feel like there are a ton of symbiotic characters that desperately need some updates. Toxin we received so long ago. I want to say it's even been maybe over 8 to 10 years. Same thing with Anti-Venom. I know we got Anti-Venom, or I should say an Anti-Agent Venom from, I believe it was a Walgreens exclusive, maybe not, I'm not sure. But that one was on the completely outdated body mold, and I'm talking about just a regular symbiotic Anti-Venom. There's also the Sleeper character, which I think has been a little bit underrated, but it's one of the newer characters that was introduced into the comic book universe. There was that Scream action figure that was a part of the Monster Venom Build-A-Figure, but again, that thing was released maybe, I want to say like 6 to 8 years ago, so it's definitely been a very long span of time without getting some, legitimate symbiotic characters. The other one that's really interesting, and this is kind of a semi-new occurrence in the comic book universe, that is Eddie Brock as Carnage. Now, looking at the panels, there isn't like some huge distinguishing features aside from, when the symbiote is, not covering Eddie Brock's face. But I'm very interested to see how Hasbro would be able to handle this. Maybe give us a beefier, bulkier Carnage with an unmasked head sculpt that would have Eddie Brock as Carnage. This is a really interesting storyline for those people that haven't really paid attention or haven't, kept up to date with the comic book universe. Carnage is now attached to Eddie Brock, and then Venom is attached to a new character. And as of the moment of this recording, we still don't know exactly who has obtained the Venom symbiote. So all of that is really interesting. As I said, I think within the next year or so, we will be getting a ton of symbiotic characters. And I think it's a matter of time, especially considering we just got like the Venom trilogy that did pretty well. I mean, overall, they weren't very good movies, but they did really well at the box office compared to the MCU movies that were appearing at the time. And so it just makes perfect sense. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like another 3-pack. I know they did an Amazon 3-pack not too long ago with, if I'm not mistaken, it was a Riot, Agony, and another Venom action figure. That was an Amazon exclusive. So I could see like in the foreseeable future doing something crazy like that, like a 5-pack with a bunch of symbiotes in there. And then lastly, I do believe we are going to get a Fantastic Four Marvel Legends wave for the upcoming film. There's so much potential here. I mean, you're talking about a brand new thing, a brand new Johnny Storm, a brand new Sue. And let's be brutally honest, we're getting another action figure from Michael Pena. Let's not forget he's the Mandalorian, which is another big opportunity for Hasbro. You can just take that head sculpt and just, port it on to a Reed action figure. But this one, as I said, I think some of the newer properties from the Marvel universe or from the MCU universe they're definitely going to get way more attention. They're going to get those newer waves. This is something that we hadn't seen from Hasbro in the past. Like, it felt like sometimes they would cheapen out a little bit on some of the newer MCU releases just because, they weren't doing so well at the box office, or they were predicting that they weren't going to do so well. With the Fantastic Four, they're going all out. You can definitely tell that they're back to their old Marvel ways. There's definitely a larger budget, and they're going to spend quite a bit of money in this. And as I said, sometimes a lot of their profit comes from merchandising. And so I definitely see a new Fantastic Four in the foreseeable future. What would be crazy is if we got a Build-A-Figure for Galactus. I know we already got a ton of different versions. There was like the old Toy Biz version, and then we just recently got one from the HasLab project. However, this is supposed to be a live action adaptation of that particular character. Whether this would be another HasLab project, I'm not sure. I know in the trailer he was just gigantic, and I don't even know if that would work in action figure form, but I would love to see something like that. A Galactus for that film to be a part of the Build-A-Figure, and then, obviously it wouldn't scale exactly the way it looks in the film. That's, virtually impossible, but at least as close as you can get with a Build-A-Figure for sure. Now, I do expect them to continue with that Legacy Edition line, which is essentially just re-releasing old characters from the MCU with newer packaging and exactly the same figure. Now, I personally don't really like that style. I would prefer some upgrades, newer head sculpts, newer tech, but they're essentially just releasing the same old figures. I've kind of floated this idea around. I do believe that they need some more box sets. So, keep in mind, I think this is a real world possibility. We just saw the Guardians of the Galaxy get another 5-pack, I think, a couple of years ago. We did see the Children of Thanos 5-pack as well. I believe those were both Amazon exclusive, or one of them was like a Hasbro exclusive, and then the other one was an Amazon exclusive. And so I could see that in the foreseeable future, like maybe more Avengers 5-packs from the live action. Maybe they even do something from the Fox universe in a 5-pack, maybe for the X-Men. I know the older Fantastic movies were not great, the Fantastic Four movies, but I would love to see them in a 5-pack. I know they, didn't do so well critically, but let's be brutally honest, sometimes it's not so much about that, it's about the nostalgia factor. You get them in action figure form, you pose them around, and you kind of reminisce about the old days when the MCU absolutely sucked balls, and so this will just be like a perfect segue into that. So that's definitely another thing that is on the table here. I do believe that we could also see some more Deadpool variants from the Deadpool Wolverine film, whether that's, a cowboy Deadpool, whether that's the female Deadpool. The possibilities are endless here. We've seen a ton of customizers going ham on that whole concept and just giving us like different variations, different editions of Deadpool, but I do feel like that could be a thing. Like we could get an entire display of just Deadpool variants. So keep your eye out for that. But I think that's one of those easy no-brainers because a lot of these could just reuse the same Deadpool body mold and just, you know, have different accessories and maybe just like an alternate head sculpt. And for those poor saps out there, those poor buffoons that actually thought that the Marvel Legends Maximum line was just going to die with Spider-Man, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. It's sold out everywhere, went back in stock, and then I believe it's sold out in multiple different places. People are going crazy. They're going ham on this Maximum Spider-Man Marvel Legends action figure, and guess what? If it was successful, they're going to go back into it. I know there've definitely been some people floating out some different ideas here. I personally believe they're going to stick with core Marvel characters first before they start going into like the C-list or B-list characters. I think we're going to see potentially a new Hulk, different head sculpts, alternate hands, things of that nature, maybe some crushed pipes, maybe an action figure stand that can actually hold Hulk. How about that? Something simple. Keep it around that price point, around $60 to $65. I'm not sure how the math works there because you got the Spider-Man for $50. I'm not sure how that would work for a Hulk, but I think they're going to stay with core. I think next we could see like a Captain America with a bunch of like extra accessories, an unmasked head, maybe, different shields. And then maybe if we got like a Venom or a Carnage, you could include a ton of different tendrils popping out of the body mold, maybe some extra tendril weapon accessories that can be ported on. I've often floated this around, but like a deluxe Venom or a deluxe Carnage. I think those are like prime candidates. Do something similar to what you did with that MCU Carnage that had just a bunch of tendrils and a bunch of different accessories that you could port on, maybe even an unmasked head sculpt. And then, Iron Man, just have, an unmasked head sculpt, a bunch of different hands, a bunch of different repulsor blast effect pieces. I think that's always something that's missing from Iron Man action figures. You have to like mix and match between, different Iron Mans and the repulsor blast effect pieces. If you've ever collected Marvel Legends, you will know that some Iron Man characters or some Iron Man figures do not come with repulsor blast effect pieces. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that would be just a great opportunity for Hasbro to capitalize on it. But yes, I do believe the Maximum line from Hasbro will continue. And there you guys have it. I'm not really going to spill too much saliva, waste too much of your time and oxygen. There you guys have it. If you guys are interested in more of these videos, let me know down below. More of these like speculation videos where I talk about potential characters that we could see from Hasbro being released in the foreseeable future. This one was just kind of like reading the writing on the wall. Very simple. All of these releases, all of these figures just make perfect sense. But I hope all of you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do, make sure to stay tuned. We do upload rambling action figure content like this pretty consistently. Make sure to stay safe out there. And as always, make sure to enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all this. Pose your action figures, play with them, photograph them, whatever it is that you're into. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.